Israel has launched its biggest attack in Syria in decades. It's targeted dozens of Iranian positions it says were firing on its territory. Are the two countries inching closer to war? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Mohammed Jamjoom. Israel's launched its most ferocious attack inside Syria since the war of October 1973. But now the target is Iran, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's ally. Just a day after the Trump administration walked out of the Iran nuclear deal, Israel accused Iran of firing rockets on the Golan Heights, which Israel occupies. Tehran says those claims are baseless. Israel responded by striking dozens of Iranian positions in Syria. The two sides have exchanged hostile rhetoric for years, but now there are signs of an open military conflict, putting the region on edge. We have a lot.
Right. First, I'd start by saying all praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Now, we know that Israel saying that Iran sent missiles or shot missiles over there is a whole lie. One, because all that's happening is Israel trying to kick off this war with Iran to fulfill prophecy, and that's in the scriptures, man. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, and the least of the flock is talking about the nation of Israel. They're going to draw who out? They're going to ultimately draw America into this battle, into this conflict, which is going to be the Third World War. But they draw these other nations into it also, man. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them, right, man? So, all you see happening is Israel drawing these nations into a war, but Israel ain't gonna be able to protect itself against Iran and Russia, because the scriptures say that Russia was supposed to be a guard unto Iran. So America gonna get dragged dragged into it also. This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1. It says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him." Right, and that's what we'll be doing. We prophesying against Magog and Gog, which is the Russians. And say, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen." Right, and we know that put hooks into thy jaws is put Russia back into that communist mind state. It says, "And I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields," talking about the Russian military, "all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya, with them, and all," it says, "all of them with shield and helmet," right? So they getting ready for war, man. "Gomer and all his bands, and the house of Togomar, and of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee." Right, so Russia getting ready right along with these other nations, man. It says, "Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right, so Russia gonna be a guard unto these nations. So Syria striking Iran isn't going to go unanswered, man. You know, that's how, like the scriptures say, that's how Israel is gonna bring America into this, because they're gonna all, you know, get into this third world war, man. But I'm gonna play the video.
Get to with our guests, but first, Harry Fawcett reports from the occupied Golan Heights.
Cockpit video from Israeli warplanes as they carried out the largest and most prolonged airstrike in Syria since the start of its civil war. Israel says it hit dozens of Iranian military targets, as well as 5 Syrian anti-aircraft installations. Israel says it was a response after Iranian forces launched 20 rockets at Israeli targets in the occupied Golan Heights.
We have made it very clear that we are here to defend ourselves. Those who started this round of violence were the Iranians who attacked Israel. We responded accordingly, and we are now waiting to see how the Iranians will respond.
Israeli forces in the...
Right, man, and it ain't no coincidence. It's gonna say it, these elites have an agenda to make. And the agenda is to bring in this new world order. Whenever there was a nation that bucked up against the order that they got going on, they took them down. Prime example was Libya. They wanted to start dealing in gold. The U.S. wasn't with that, so the U.S. went in and took them down. Same thing that's going on with Iran. Iran is refusing to deal with this U.S. currency, and basically they bucking against the New World Order. So Israel is being used, to kick the war off, basically.
Occupied Golan Heights were on alert for any further response. At the same time, local residents were told to go about their business as normal. Schools were open, no restrictions placed on large gatherings. Israel says of the 20 rockets that were fired towards the occupied Golan Heights from Syrian territory, they all either fell in Syrian territory or they were intercepted. What followed was a massive and prolonged response from the Israeli armed forces, a real escalation in the kind of force that Israel has so far been prepared to use within Syria. It's a message to deter any further such action, and it's also making the most of an opportunity to do as much damage to Iranian forces as possible. Israel's government has long warned of a growing threat from Iranian bases and missiles inside Syria. It seems to have decided to act sooner rather than later.
We have, of course, hit all the infrastructure. Not all, but almost all of the Iranian infrastructure in Syria. They must remember the saying, if it rains here, it will pour over there. And I hope that we finish this chapter and that everyone got the message.
Syrian state media said Syrian air defenses had intercepted most of the incoming rockets over the capital, Damascus, but also confirmed that a radar station and a weapons storage site were struck. Iranian state television said Syria had given a, quote, crushing response to the Israeli attacks. The strikes were carried out hours after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in Moscow, saying he'd come away confident that Russia would not prevent what he called Israel's freedom of action. A day later, a different tone from the Russian foreign minister.
We see this as a very alarming development. We believe that all issues must be resolved through dialogue. During our multiple contacts with the leadership of both Iran and Israel, including during yesterday's meeting between Putin and Netanyahu, we underlined the necessity of avoiding any actions that might be seen as mutually provocative.
For now, this latest flurry of cross-border violence has subsided, but all sides are aware that a new bar has been set for its intensity and that it could all too easily rise again.
All right, let's now get the thoughts of our guests. Joining us in Tehran, Hamid Mousavi, professor of political science at the University of Tehran and head of the U.S. Department at the Iranian Institute for European and American Studies. In West Jerusalem, Robbie Sable, professor at Hebrew University in Jerusalem. He is former legal advisor to the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs and former counselor at the Embassy of Israel to the United States. And in Cannes, Ali Veyes, director of the Iran project at the International Crisis Group, who was part of the negotiations that led to the Iran nuclear deal. A warm welcome to you all. Ali, I want to start with you. Israel is now saying it has no intention to escalate this any further. Do you believe the worst is over, or is this only going to get worse?
The situation is very tense, so it can go either way. The risks are really high, and there's a lot of friction at the moment between Iran and Israel. And obviously, in the aftermath of the President Trump withdrawing from the nuclear deal, the tensions are even higher. But from my perspective, I think Israel is
right. And you know, as you can see, they saying it can go out. It can go either way. But we know the way that it's gonna go through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, because we was given the truth, you know, starting from my elders on down. So I'm gonna bring this scripture out one more time. Because it's the time we're living in. This is Jeremiah chapter 49. Verse 20, it says, "Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that ye have taken against Edom." Edom is the white man, Esau, and his purpose. That he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Right? And we know the least of the flock is talking about Israel. Surely it's like it says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, right? And they're going to draw America into this battle also with them to go against Iran. But Russia going to be a guard unto Iran, man. And the end result of that is the destruction of America and Israel. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he will make their habitations desolate with them. Right, so America going to get involved in this battle. And it's going to be destroyed. Because the Arab nations going to come together and fight against America. And also Israel going to be destroyed. There's going to be a lot of nations that's going to be hit by these the thermonuclear missiles, because this is World War III, a thermonuclear missile war. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 28. It says, "Behold, in the horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots," right? That's Saudi Arabia. That's actually the dragons is talking about the Arab nations. "And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians, which is Iran, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars." And we know that the Carmanians are the Persians. It says, "Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come," right? So, you know, that's what, you know, we've been seeing over the last couple years. Iran, you know, enhancing its capabilities as far as its military and the weaponry and stuff, man. It says, "With great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians," which is America. So America gonna be hit by nuclear missiles by Iran. "And then shall the dragons," which is the Arab nations, because they gonna come together, man, "have the upper hand." They already coming together, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their hosts shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings. Right, so ultimately, America gonna be hit by thermonuclear missiles. Israel gonna draw America into this battle, you know, ultimately to get destroyed. You know, America gonna be destroyed, Israel gonna be destroyed, and a lot of nations gonna be hit by them thermonuclear missiles, man. But this right here that we seeing is nothing but prophecy coming to pass, man. You know, But with that being said, all praise to Yahweh Shema Shai, double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that stood in truth and sincerity. Shalom.